That's the one timeline that he
No,
changed.
but there's multiple timelines.
But there's going to be multiple because every decision he makes is now splitting.
So can I kick multiple of you in the dick?
I mean, you could try, but then I'm going to slap you into it back into the original timeline.
Welcome to Spin Dash, where 2 out of 3 surveyed recommend Pokemon cards over Magic cards, if you can believe it.
Fuck you, John.
I'm your host, Regretful John. With me, I have the Cynic Matt and the Hypocrite Nick. This month, we are discussing Body Harvest for the N64. I was aiming for a game that I had never played before and a console we had not covered yet. Perusing the less-known titles and some lists that highlighted underrated 64 games, I found this one. Some reviews and a fair pricing solidified the pick. But before we get into those meaty alien carcasses, let's talk shop. And that noise. All right, fellas. Matt, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh my god, so I am drinking a Sam Adams Oktoberfest. I'm having a hard time remaining composed after your intro. Between that and Nick just burping into the fucking mic.
Nick is full on sabotage
this is
episode.
This is a train wreck of a night, and we haven't even started it yet.
Trainwreck
Nick,
started with his
drinking?
game. I mean, Body Harvest and more should have been like Soul Harvest. Good lord.
I'll harvest your soul, man. I watch Indiana Jones too. I know what
Kalima!
Exactly. Nick, what are you drinking?
Vodka and seltzer.
Good boy.
Nice.
I am drinking some rosé from Trader Joe's.
God, you're so fucking fancy.
Unlike this game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, guys. We can stop recording
we're
now. We know our thoughts.
We're burning through it.
Oh, shit.
Hey,
Did anyone actually finish this game?
No.
Vicariously.
Yep. I finished it via watching, like I did with Battle of Olympus, you know?
Very talented YouTuber. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good guy.
Yeah, I just didn't give a shit.
All right. So, hey, we're still talking shop. Fellas,
Yeah.
right?
Sorry.
Nick, what you pick up lately, man?
Actually pick up anything? Wait. I did get Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for a Game Gear that I don't have.
Yeah, we covered that last time.
Oops, yeah.
That's the gift that keeps on giving.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one.
I
Matt, what about you?
anything, actually.
Oh, good for you. Staying strong.
Matt, what does the budgeteer have in store for us this episode?
Well, so here's the thing, right? So I picked up a Game Boy player. I imported it from Japan. So here's the thing. GameCube, I guess in the States, we only got, I think the black was the only color Game Boy player we had, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I think we had 3 different colored GameCubes. We had the Platinum, we had the Indigo, and we had the Jet Black. I don't think we had Spice, and we definitely didn't get that kind of green one that they had with Tales of Symphonia. Yeah. We didn't get that one. Nope. But it doesn't match. I don't want the black bottom. So the Game Boy player, the hardware itself can be used with any GameCube. They're region free. It's the disc that's the issue. So I imported a silver Game Boy player to put on my silver GameCube, and I'm on the hunt. I think next month, GC Loader, the pre-orders go on, so I'm going to watch that very closely and try to get a GC Loader on this thing because a GC Loader costs about the same as the Game Boy player disc. So I might as well pimp out my GameCube, have an ODE in it versus trying to run the disk drive and have things break down over time. Kind of future-proof my Game Boy future-proof my GameCube, have the Game Boy player ready. So, in the future when we're playing some more GBA titles or maybe some Game Boy Color, I can play it on the big screen.
Yeah.
So, that's it. Yourself?
Body Harvest, man.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I got that too.
Yeah. You and I picked up the cartridge for this. And a shocking fact, this is the only game that I have bought from eBay in my entire life.
How was your experience?
He said it was delayed, and he was very apologetic about it. It was delayed like a day. I got it. It was no problem. Game came. It was in good condition. A couple scuffs, but, plugged it right in and it worked. So I was happy. I think the only other game thing that I have bought from eBay was the Final Fantasy VI soundtrack.
Oh, cool. Cool.
On CD when I was in like 7th grade. I had to have it because I love that soundtrack. And, CDs was the medium of choice back then.
What I don't understand, so when I ordered my copy of Body Harvest, and that was a weird one. That was kind of a fluke. I didn't exactly have a good experience. And the seller that I got it from is, I would say, a well-known dealer in retro games. Maybe we'll phrase it that way and not single them out. I could have sent it back and got a refund and got what was actually pictured, but we didn't have enough time. But yeah, it took longer for my game when I bought Body Harvest to come from Pennsylvania up here than it did for my Game Boy player to come from Japan. Like I honestly think it went from Japan to my house in 3 days in the middle of like a pandemic.
That is impressive.
I don't even know how that even works. So yeah, props to them.
Yeah. So pickups, that's it. Not much this month. What do we got for history with this game? Does anybody have anything from their past about this?
Ish.
Never heard of it.
Tangential. Gentle.
Nintendo Power, maybe like a little snippet in there. I think I saw something, but yeah.
I had a Nintendo Power, and I remember seeing this in it. And I didn't really pay much attention to it. And then what's interesting is we'll get into I guess backstory. I spent all week bitching at you, or all 2 weeks bitching at you about this game. And then I had one night where things weren't going well. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just start researching ahead of time. I don't want to play this anymore. And I found the backstory, which we'll get into later. And then I knew the story of this game. I knew there was one game in the N64 library that had this interesting story behind it, maybe is the way to phrase it. And I think after that point, I stopped bitching at you about this game. It's like, oh, I know this game. I've never played it. I vaguely remember pictures in Nintendo Power, but I know the story. This one's for the books.
Yeah. Yeah. And, based on the reading that I did for this, and I did watch a couple videos and I was like, all right, it's rough around the edges like a lot of 64 games. But it looked like a solid sleeper pick, and I was kind of going for that. I wanted to find a 64 game that nobody had played because the 64 was so popular. So like all the mainstream titles have been done over and over again. So I think there was down to like this and like Jet Force Gemini and Mischief Makers, and I was like, you know what, we'll do Body Harvest because one of our lost episodes, if we ever find them, I picked Space Station Silicon Valley, which was done by the same developers. So we can transition into the game itself. And I think, honestly, the game's backstory is more satisfying than the actual game here.
Yeah. Yep, I give you that.
Yeah. Body Harvest was an action game for the 64. and it was developed by a British company called DMA Design, which nowadays we know as Rockstar North. I think they've been around since the late 80s, and they did some early console games. I don't remember any of those titles. I don't think I ever played any, but they were working under a parent company, and it was just a bunch of nerds, doing their thing, designing some pretty cool games. And the first one that I played by them was Uniracers on the Super Nintendo. And so that was a fun racing game. My friend had it. We played a lot of hours on that one. It was really well done. And I later learned that the DMA Design did Tactics and Wild Metal Country, which I had on the PC. And I put a few hours into those, and they were like tank strategy action games. And they were really cool. And it was funny that we started playing Body Harvest, and I heard like 3 of the same sound effects from Tactics that are in Body Harvest.
Yeah, they there's another they reuse sounds that they used in the original GTA too. I think probably I think the ice cream noise is in those. The ice cream music is in those games. So very very clever.
Yeah. I've never played the original GTA.
It's different. It's
Is it top down?
Yeah, the first 2 are top down, and then
I had 2. I never played 1.
Yeah, I've played maybe a snippet of it here and there, but nothing real I could talk, educated about it. So. Yeah,
same. So Body Harvest was supposed to be a 64 launch title. There were a dozen or so games that the 64 was going to have available upon launch in 1996, but they delayed it because they thought the game was too violent. And it's funny to me that they think, having played this game, that they think it's violent compared to like Mortal Kombat, which is on the Super Nintendo, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yeah.
And they thought that this game was too violent.
Did you see anything on the whole interaction with the delay and Nintendo getting involved? Do you have anything on that?
So what I think happened was there was a lot of miscommunication because they couldn't understand each other.
Yep.
Because DMA was British and Nintendo's Japanese. So whatever happened in 1996, 97, they couldn't figure it out between each other. It was all correspondence. So they didn't communicate well enough to figure this out. And so Nintendo wanted a lot of design changes. And I guess DMA said, F you. I'm not going to have any tea with you. And Nintendo just panned it and said no thanks.
It's so funny because if you read back in the history of Nintendo, it's just littered with examples where Nintendo burned bridges and just screwed up. And you can look at them with the whole Sony thing, and we can argue back and forth on whose fault the whole Sony breakout, that whole thing was. But Nintendo lost, Rare to Microsoft. They've had this troubled history with a lot of other companies, and it's always come back, I think, to bite them in the ass. And DMA is another one. DMA was the way they got introduced to Nintendo. I want to say Nintendo didn't think that you could do a full motion video on a cartridge. And DMA found a way. They compressed, I think, a video of Star Wars and put it on a cartridge and showed Nintendo. So Nintendo was all excited about this. And they were named as one of Nintendo's dream team when they were doing the N64, which Nintendo at the time had lost. Capcom was not excited about the 64. Square had basically was pushing everyone and not pressuring, but persuading other developers to jump over to Sony. So Nintendo 64 Dream Team, you had Rare, stellar, right? You had Acclaim, not known for some of the greatest titles, although they improved. I want to say Midway, Williams, Time Warner, and I'm thinking of some of their if I was assembling a dream team, I'm not saying these companies are crap. However, if I was assembling a dream team, I don't know if I would have these. Either they're developers with like a questionable history or they're upstarts. So like DMA had this whole idea in their mind. Like they wanted to make this like game that was like a throwback to the 1950s, like a B-style movie. Yeah. They were inspired by Tremors. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they wanted it to be like Tremors. And Nintendo came in and was like, no, we want to do time travel. So this whole exercise was Nintendo coming in like, okay, at first Nintendo said, we want to make a game that's edgier and more mature. We need something, play it loud era. We need something to fight back. I'm guessing at the time against Saturn, but more so PlayStation. So they made an edgy game and then Nintendo got cold feet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this game was too violent at all. Like, you kill bugs and, okay, you might run over somebody, but it's funny that now we're looking back at it where, like, you could beat up a prostitute in Grand Theft Auto and, you get flagged for running over somebody accidentally in this game.
This game is so tame compared to maybe it was shocking at the time, but Nintendo, they talked out of one side of their mouth and then turned around. I want to say they made it 2 years in development on this thing, like 2 years. And Nintendo comes in and like makes a bunch of changes. Like, we want this, we want this to be an RPG because we don't have RPGs on the system, because we ditched a CD drive,
Right.
We
not a lot of storage.
We
space.
want this thing to be more mature. Oh wait, I take that back. We don't want this to be mature.
And it's funny because there are a lot of mediocre titles on the 64 that kind of fall in a similar category with this, where the controls and the graphics they just hold the game back.
Yeah.
This was the gameplay on this, like it's one of the first open world games, and this company this is their foundation. Like that, all the games after this have been open world and major hits. Like Grand Theft Auto series is like one of the top series ever, right?
What blows my mind from a development, like looking at this strictly as development, is if you watch, we're going to have our comments about this game, but if you look at this as how is DMA evolving? DMA does like GTA, I want to say 97.
Yeah, they did GTA 1.
You're right about that.
Before this game.
Then they go and they start Body Harvest. And then I want to say, while they're suffering, like languishing in Body Harvest, and at the same time, DMA also is doing another game for Nintendo called Zenith, which gets canceled. It looked like a climbing game. Nintendo canceled it because Nintendo, I think, was also the publisher on that. And said, no, you have to divert all your resources into this Body Harvest game that's not doing what we want. So, of course, the team's pissed. Right. You cancel one of the games. You're forcing teams together. It's just a mess. But then DMA goes, you forget Space Station Silicon Valley, which I think came out before this but was started after. And some common themes run in that, right? Like you're taking over sheep and dogs and,
Yeah, there's a lot of switching into different things. And a similar thing where, like, there are 4 levels per world, or, like, there's a certain amount of levels per a world. And you have objectives. So, yeah, they have a common gameplay between the two.
So then, like, you're evolving, right? So I think GTA 2, Nick, correct me, 99?
Oh, jeez. I remember that.
I know GTA 3 was 2001, and you can't look at GTA 3 and would ever say jumping from 2 to 3 would ever have happened if it wasn't for Body Harvest.
There's great foundation in this game. I'll give it that. I emulated this game, so maybe that could have been a problem, but I was constantly clipping through the whole game. Like, every time I went across that bridge at the beginning, literally half my body was on below the bridge.
Yeah.
But, yeah, open world is just, it was so clunky. I'm trying to get past that, and I couldn't. Like, I honestly, I got as far as literally the second part of Greece. And I was like, I just can't do it. Between that and my computer just crashing, the game just crashing, I'm like, oh, I'm done.
So you didn't even get like really into any of the story, right? Did you see any of the story?
All I know is I'm on the planet and I have to help.
Nick is Greenpeace.
I was like, oh, okay, all right, sure, fantastic. So Body Harvest was 98. Then Space Station Silicon Valley was 98 as well. Tantix was 98. Let's see, Grand Theft Auto 2 was 99. 3 was 2001.
Did you say Chantix, like the stuff that gets you to stop smoking?
Oh, what was it? Tantix.
Okay.
Tantix, yeah. Which is a fun game, man. You build tanks and you gotta go through all these levels. Anyway, this game, Body Harvest, you have a faceless hero, you have an AI that gives you info, and you have giant aliens messing things up. What does that sound like?
Halo?
Exactly.
Really? Okay. All right.
Think about that, right? Like, this dude has no face. It's not Master Chief cool. It's like fucking, Judge Dredd's hillbilly cousin.
Oh my God.
But and what's your assistant's name?
Daisy?
Daisy?
Yep.
Daisy, yeah. And she gives you tap the R button. The controls on this were garbage, by the way. Like, cycling through weapons and trying to get you little messages from her. But still, she seems like the AI interface.
So what is her involvement? I never understood her story.
She was on the ship. So apparently, I read some of the backstory, and the aliens have been harvesting people on Earth for over like 100 years.
They're just giant-sized bugs.
Well,
yeah.
But
I mean,
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers. They have to harvest us for food.
Tasty.
Right?
It was a cop-out.
It's a cop-out.
Well, if they're like humanoid aliens, they don't need us. They're not going to harvest us for food. They've already figured out food. Right?
Well, I think, aren't we like cows? Didn't they plant us here? And Earth is kind of like their farm, and they just like every 25 years they stop by, and I'm like, it's like we're gonna go out to McDonald's.
It's all stem cells, baby.
Tasty.
Yeah, very nutritious. So every 25 years they would land and like put one area in this giant force field, and then suck up all the people, and then they'd leave. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger, these areas that they would do. So I think in like 2016, the last remnants of humanity are on the spaceship. And they have invented a time travel spaceship. And so like, hearkening back to Alien, our guy, Adam Drake is the guy's name. Our hero with the Judge Dredd mask. He jumps on this escape craft, goes back to Earth, but I think Daisy escapes with you. I wasn't too keen on that. And she's in like the spacecraft in orbit, and you're down there with your advanced weapons, and you could teleport down to these specific areas because at the time, like you travel back to, we're in 1916 in Greece. And so you get beamed into the force field area with your laser gun and a bunch of other shit.
Isn't that kind of funny though? Like how when you with the NPCs in the game, they're all nonchalantly, "Oh yeah, here's my lever for my bridge. Go and press it." And you look like you are from the future, and they don't even question it.
Like here comes Judge Dredd you're in 1960. And Judge Dredd shows up and says,
"Oh yeah, sure, go where you're at, Bob.
I need parts to your windmill now."
Yeah, my wife and 7 kids got eaten by a giant space bug. All right, man, here you go.
You're so nonchalant about the whole thing.
Everybody's so jaded and scorned in this. They're all just hiding in these fucking candlelit buildings. Like, Yeah, I do whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, how many candles are being used in 1916? Like, I feel like we had electricity then, right? I mean,
you have a fucking fire truck and a tank. So, like, yeah, nobody has a light bulb.
yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, so is it an alternate? So I had a problem with the time travel, right? So they ship us back from like 16. I think it's 2016, 100 years. Back to 1916. Yep. So, time fuckery. The time paradox. Can I kill my grandfather? But here's the thing. Like, he's not really saving his timeline, right? He's just going back to a different timeline. So there's always going to be a timeline where humans are dead. And he's just trying to make a new timeline where humans aren't dead.
Oh, we're not
that
going
seems
into
to be
this right now.
Make the most sense.
Nick, I hope you brought a lot of beer.
I'm pretty sure I just saw this on, what was I watching? Eureka, where they explained how time travel worked. It's nothing like, it's nothing like Back to the Future, where you can correct your timeline. Or, no, wait. This is in the ending of Avengers. Yeah, Avengers Endgame. No.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Endgame?
I don't think I've seen Endgame, but you had me on Back to the Future. You had me there.
Well, they said Back to the Future, it was false in the sense that if you go back, you're not changing that future. You're just creating an alternate timeline.
So are there infinite timelines? Because I've chosen to...
Technically, it becomes a multiverse.
So there's no need to go back.
I would say there's two timelines. The one that you were in and the one that you fixed.
But what about the timelines you chose not to go back to? Those would also be timelines, right?
Hence, multiverse.
That's just like...
I think there's infinite timelines at that point.
No. How could...
There has to be multiple timelines anyways, because, like, let's say I fix 1916. The aliens are going to respond differently to me fixing 1916, and they're going to respond differently when they're in 1940 in Java, right? So, like, there's a whole... I'm on your board with you, Nick. There's an infinite amount of timelines, and our Judge Dredd friend saved one.
So there's one.
There's one. Whatever decisions you make when you're going back is one. Like, this guy's progressing through time, right?
Well, he's progressing through that timeline, but he's also split up a new timeline.
That's the one timeline that he changed.
But there's multiple timelines.
But there's going to be multiple because every decision he makes is now splitting.
So can I kick multiple of you in the dick?
I mean, you could try, but then I'm going to slap you back into the original timeline.
In every timeline, Nick slaps you. In every conceivable possibility, Nick slaps you for kicking him in the dick.
That's a tickle.
It's so strange, though, that no one questions you driving, or like, can you picture this guy driving around in, like, this 1916 buggy with his decked out super suit, and he's genetically engineered, so there's no way he's less than 6'4". He's just like a fucking jack super, like
the way I understood it almost is that he becomes a vehicle in a sense.
What? Transformers?
Because you literally you just run up and just press X, and then next thing you know, you're in the vehicle.
Jump in it, dude. You can see yourself in a tank.
Your
head's sticking out of the tank, man.
Yeah, that's what it is. Your head is sticking out of the tank.
You're not Ace and Gary from SNL, man. Form of, or whatever the twins. What were those called? The Wonder Twins.
Yeah.
Form of
Puddle.
Spaceship. Yeah, Puddle.
So I could just picture Nick sitting there with, like, his really shitty N64 emulator setup. Things are glitching out. Things are clipping. Nothing makes any sense. And then he steps next to a vehicle and he's like, yep, I just turned into a vehicle. This game's trash. I became a vehicle. Who the hell thought of that?
Nick does like becoming things.
Becoming the chair.
Oh, in 3 weeks I'm going to become a chair. I'm gonna become the
There
world.
you go, man. So, another tangent on this, right? 1916, Greece, Europe, World War
So,
One.
yeah.
Like,
It's a different timeline because there's not World War One, right?
I mean, unless there is, and you're just in like the outlying areas where there's tons of abandoned vehicles that are, in various states of disrepair, and a bunch of confused people wandering around with their fucking shit burning. Like,
That actually,
Maybe the Germans
You
were
could be.
actually bugs.
we have one German listener. He's offended. She's offended. They're offended. So here's the thing. Like, I think when you're in Java in 41, there's some vehicles that have kind of like a German coloring to them. So does that mean? So does that mean World War II's happening, but World War One didn't happen? Time fuckery, man.
I mean, I don't even know if Java in 1941, like if things had even gotten there then, like, because that was Japan, and like, yeah, it was later on when the U.S. and Japan, had all their events.
But would you fight a world war if you've got bugs coming every 25 years to eat you? Probably not.
Right?
I think I'd build you'd have your Manhattan Project, but you'd be bombing the bugs, not Hiroshima.
Maybe that's why. Maybe there were bugs there.
Again, infinite timelines. Nick's got it.
Okay, all right. I'm warming up to this.
Joel was an android. Infinite timelines.
Yeah. So I think, Matt, you and I got through Greece in this game. So we're done the backstory. You come back to Earth. You're traveling back in time to stop the bug apocalypse. You hit Greece in the early 1900s. There's 3 stages and then a boss stage.
Yeah.
We died a lot. In this game. And the save feature is crippling. Like, I sunk 20 to 30 minutes in at least 3 times to die, like, 10 minutes away from beating the level where the save point was.
This game is weird. I struggled with it because design-wise, it's like they cobbled together, like, 7 different games and slapped them into all the one, like, duct taped them together and said, this is our game. And it's like, I don't know how to function in this world. So, structure-wise, right, it's what'd you call it, a third-person adventure game. It's
Third-person shooter venture.
But it's open world, but it's not sandbox in that you're in this open world, and yes, you can go anywhere you want, but the game there's a mission structure to it. And the mission...
You're heavily penalized if you go outside this. You're heavily penalized.
Well, the thing is, it's like, the game doesn't encourage you to, like, freely explore, because there's this weird bar where if the aliens are going to come down in waves, it kind of reminds me of like an old arcade game, like your bad guys come in waves. And whenever there's a wave...
and they keep it escalating.
But you have to, like, save people, because you don't want the bugs to eat the people, because then you get this, like, giant mutant crusher bug that, like, wrecks your friggin' house. Like,
that thing sucks.
But, like, so it's open world, but you really can't explore because you really need to follow very strict. I mean, the missions, like, you can't progress unless you do this. There's no test this out and see. But, like, you go into caves and they want you to, like, flip switches and so there's an RPG element to it. And then there's a
tickle corpses. Did you guys tickle any corpses?
Every corpse I went to.
Yeah, that's good.
But there's a score. Like, why is there a score in this? How does that even? I don't understand.
It doesn't make any sense. And the fact that there's, like, no marketable things with this game. It's all no frills, like, no decorations, no there's nothing, dude.
My struggle with this game is, like, I think on paper it is an amazing game because there's just so much to, like, it's so. Everything's built off this that it's open world today that we take for granted. But at the same time, like, man, the game puts everything in your way to prevent you from enjoying it. So saves. You kind of tell me about saves, John.
So you have to beat the mini boss at the end of each of these levels, because they're like camped over this processor, right? Like there's a few processors, and then there's a generator which controls their giant shield bubble that like encapsulates their harvest area, because nobody can get in and nobody can get out when they put this dome-like shield over where they want to harvest. So you have to knock out their processors, which I'm guessing are like their little like shield outliers, and then the generator is the final boss level. There's 5 levels. We only made it to Java, so if anybody that's listening has been more ambitious, hats off to you. You have more patience than we do. But I died way too many times on this game to really like try to soldier on after spending like 2 hours a night to make it through 1.5 levels.
The thing is, like, the saves. If I was to like give this game a score, and I know I'm jumping way ahead of where I want to be, but I would give this game its score would be so much higher if you forced me to give it a number, which I know I've been against as of late. Just if they let me give me more saves, make the saving, easier somehow. I know you can backtrack back to your little save pod thing that you get after you beat every processor, but I'm directionally challenged. I can't find that thing. I find that you go and you play this game and you'll be chugging along for 45 minutes or an hour, and you do something dumb like fall down this slope, end up in the water, which I don't want to. We've got to talk about how he swims. And then, like, you've lost an hour. You've lost an hour. It's just every night. And
all because you didn't hold, like, the down C button in the right spot. Like, to jump back on your boat. Or to, like, dude, the cliffs and it was very frustrating.
But if it's an open world game, why aren't you allowing me to explore? You punish me for exploring, and now I've got to repeat 45 minutes of me trugging around, collecting TNT. I can remember Greece, like, it's amazing. I don't remember much of the game, but I can tell you, I can almost write a walkthrough on how to get through Greece because I died so many times. Get the TNT, blow up the rock, go over and over and over and over. Did you get to the part with the howitzer?
Yeah.
So I posted this on Twitter the other day. They warn you. So first of all, I grabbed the tank. It wasn't the howitzer, but I grabbed a tank. I'm like, okay, I got to shoot this rock formation so I can go up. And this is after I died in this level like every night for like 3 nights in a row before I got to a guide. So I thought I had the howitzer. I didn't. Shot it. Didn't do nothing. Went back, got the howitzer, drove the howitzer into the lake.
Yep.
So then I'm like, well, I'm fucked. Now I've got to redo this whole level again.
Yeah, I was like, I could make this jump, and then the howitzer just kind of friggin' falls in the water. And you're like, all right.
There's one howitzer. You're screwed. It's like, no, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and you got to you got to bomb your path a little bit, and then go around and fight some bugs, and then come back and bomb it again. Like, I did that 4 times, dude, trying to figure out what to do.
My frustration with this. And I bitch to you. For the listeners out there, I don't think they understand how much I bitched to John over the 2 weeks that we played this game. Every night it was... It's
more than when we lived together.
Every night it was, fuck you, John. I hate you. Fuck you, John. Why'd you pick this game? Fuck you, John. It broke me in a way that a game has not broke me in a long time. And my problem is, like, on paper, this game offers so much and is so important that every night I'd walk away from it and I'd be like left with this feeling of, is the game bad or do I suck at it? One. And, is the game bad and it's just not for me because I'm directionally challenged? And then, like, is the game bad or, am I just being a whiner? There's no reason why I can't beat this game. I'm really good at games. And I'd go back and I'd waste another 45 minutes dying over. It broke me. It broke my soul.
Yeah. 64 games are rough around the edges, and they're difficult. Like, I remember playing Shadows of the Empire as a kid, and dying 70% of the time, I don't think I ever beat that game as a kid, because jumping and different things were difficult. Like, it's just the 64's nature, I think, with a lot of these adventure games.
But here's my thing, right? So I read about this game, and if you get online and you search Body Harvest 64, you'll get an infinite amount of searches where people just say this is a hidden gem. And in some aspects, it is hidden. And in some aspects, it could be a gem. But you've got to have a very, very, very forgiving view of things to ever phrase it that way. I mean, Nick, you've been quiet on this one. Would you view this as a hidden gem?
No, not at all. But probably only because I have no background with this game. And I think that's a lot. And I respect what John is trying to do. He wants to put games out there that are not typically talked about, but it's going to be hard, especially for the retro games, because a lot of them, I mean, when we're reviewing a game or going through a game, we typically usually have some sort of nostalgia on that type of game or that gameplay in some form. So we're, a little bit more forgiving on it. As well as typically when we're playing it then, we're getting through the levels a little bit easier and we're not stumbling as much because we typically remember something. This game just didn't play like anything I've played in the past. And like I said, I mean, it could have been just purely because I played it as an emulated game and maybe just not seeing the true effect of it. Maybe it was just glitching out. But like I said, I mean, after probably like the 10th time of it just failing, I'm like, this is too much hassle just to play through. I wouldn't say a hidden gem. Like, now connecting the dots as far as knowing what DMA I can see where they get a lot of their inspiration as far as hijacking a vehicle, doing these missions. It is very GTA at its very core. So I can respect that. It's just when it was playing well, the aim was crap, trying to aim, shoot a freaking bug. I literally just run and gunned. I just run and just press the trigger button. I'm like, I'm going to hit something eventually.
Yeah. So,
you do.
You kind of touched on a good thing there, though, Nick. Like, controls of this are, in some ways, they're great, and in some ways, they are really, really janky. Like, what's his name? Drake. Adam? I forgot his name. His name
Drake.
Actually doesn't matter. You never see it again. But when he's on foot, he is really, really, really. It's like he's like trudging through mud. He's like marching in molasses. He's very like, I don't know. He's very janky. I can't even describe it. But he has like two different control sets. When he's walking around people's houses, turning on lights and stuff for no apparent reason, he's got one control set where like he can like strafe back and forth for no apparent reason of no value.
Yeah.
But when he's out in the world, he's so hard to. Maybe they do that to entice you. Like once you get in a vehicle, you can get around okay.
Yeah, vehicle controls weren't bad, but him on foot when you started that second level and you had the sunbeam thing or the mirror like that mirror decimate all, right? But you can't use it in a vehicle,
right? Did you keep jumping out? I kept jumping out and frying things and then getting back in the vehicle. Yep.
When there's a big wave of them. But if one of those harvester robot dicks was around, it could just squish you. Like it would just jump and you couldn't see where it goes because you can't tilt your head up and then it would just pancake you. That happened to me like 3 times.
Yeah, and what I found another challenge in this game was slopes. So like some slopes you could get up and some you couldn't, like the way it would handle terrain. So I'd find myself like I wouldn't pay attention. I wouldn't hit up on one of the C buttons and zoom out so I could see what I was actually doing. And I'd run down a hill and I'd run into water. And once you get into water, depending on how the slope is, like you can get stuck and he can't swim. He can.
No, you get like 5 seconds of swim life.
I mean, I get it. It's supposed to be like he's in a super suit, but also you're superhuman. You can't swim with a suit. Like I think if I took a football player in full pads and dumped them in the water, they would be able to swim longer than Adam Drake. It's
that helmet, man.
The dread helmet, 50 pounds. That's 50.
It's all yeah.
It reminds me of like I think it's a Doom that has that type of shape of helmet, like the original game.
Maybe.
Or am I thinking something like the
Maybe
box? I don't know. It's like the element just the helmet just reminds me of something of like an older game that they took
It
inspiration.
looks like something out of Fifth Element.
It looks
too.
like Blast Corps. Like if you guys play Blast Corps,
That's what it is.
it reminds me of Blast
Yeah,
Corps.
dude.
He's the same
You
coloring.
hit the nail on the head. Yeah, orange. Orange means explosion.
Yeah, he was hard to maneuver. I don't know. I struggled with that. What else did I struggle with? You talk about the mutant. The mutant wrecked me. So I was bad in places about people because they're dumbasses. You just drive.
Yeah, and you just I ran over. Oh, yeah.
They have have
Sorry.
no interest in whatsoever in what you're doing in a vehicle. They're just aliens are out there eating them left and right, and they're just walking around in the streets trying to get run over by your friggin' howitzer. I don't know.
It's crazy, man.
Did you see? Did you watch any of the clips? Though, like when you're in 1966 and you're in USA, did you see the ice cream truck?
No.
Dude, I laughed so friggin' hard when I played that part, and by played I mean watch somebody play it. You've got this section of the game where like you're supposed to drive an ice cream truck, and you're supposed to like lead kids from the school, I think, into a church into safety. So like you're driving this ice cream truck and these dumbass kids are like running around chasing you in this ice cream truck as like aliens are like eating them off the streets. Like just complete stupidity. Mowed them down.
Good deal.
You could just take this ice cream truck and run over kids in it. I don't even think you could do that in GTA. Like you can bang hookers and then kill them afterwards, but you don't kill kids in GTA. Like this game.
Yeah, I don't think there are kids in GTA.
Probably for this reason.
That's why Nintendo banned them.
When you run them over, there's this like satisfying blood. I'm a sicko, but like a satisfying blood curdling scream and then like a squish noise.
I wonder if that's where Roller Coaster Tycoon got their noise.
Oh, it's so good.
The scream.
What do you think of
You're
the
going to have to
soundtrack
put
of this
that in
game,
as
by
a
the
little
way?
audio clip.
Oh man, what's that, Nick?
What do you think of the audio of this? Like the soundtrack and how this.
It was good. Like it was suspenseful. There wasn't a lot of variability, but like it was a decent soundtrack and it was kind of foreboding most of the time.
I didn't notice it until I think I was supposed to. Like if you asked me to like hum a song from this, I can't tell you what any of the levels sound like except for when I'm fighting aliens. It's got that like violin-y style, and you shoot them down. Beyond that, I don't really remember a whole lot of it.
So that was something I think was fairly redeeming about this game was the soundtrack.
Yeah, they did a decent job.
The sounds were pretty decent. It wasn't horrible.
The sounds of running over humans was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, that's pretty much it that I gotta say, man, on this game. Made it through the first world, got to the second one, played a little bit, called it.
And I wish, so my other complaint is, we only made it, like John, you and I made it to Java. Nick, you fought through emulation and got a couple levels in Greece. You didn't get to see, but so the game's got 5 levels. You go, what is it? Greece in 1916, Java 1941, USA in 1966. And if you watch, like that seems to be the most interesting of all the levels. Like you're actually in a city. I found Greece like really boring. Like when have you ever seen Greece looked like a desert?
Yeah.
Well, it looked like just hills and valleys, and the textures were just there was not a tree and like 1 or 2 trees. I think during the parts I played, and then next thing you know, you come up against a giant freaking ant or wasp. Then you had the random buildings, like they're just so far out. It was so spread out.
Yeah,
there wasn't much of an environment. And I think that's what the game was really lacking, at least in Greece. There wasn't much of an environment for Greece. I was Greece is it's part of the Mediterranean. It's not this bland of a country.
You got to wonder if they ran into like the 64. Just they were making something so, I don't know, so forward, so ambitious that it was more than what the 64 could do.
That might be it, man. I mean, they had these PC games. They had Grand Theft Auto. You know, there was a lot in the works with these guys. So I wonder if they also got a little spiteful too, because Nintendo was giving them such a hard time.
You know,
or like they might have rushed it.
I have to wonder if they, because it feels unfinished to me when I play it. Like
yeah, it's really raw.
There were times when I'd be walking around in the caverns, which I think the RPG elements. I was texting you about this, John. I think it's a complete waste. Like, there's no need for me to go in these, to have a separate control set and to go into these caverns. Like, you could just have a much funner game where I'm shooting aliens. Like, why do I have to do this other thing that feels cobbled on? But
they tried a lot, and yeah, the dungeons were like, you just push this button. There was no, I mean, like, there was a treasure chest thing where, like, you had to pull a torch and you had to have a treasure chest open or something. But yeah, it was pretty rudimentary when they branched off from the bug killing.
And I think, you know, that's what I think what delayed the game. You know, Nintendo, I think, told them, you got to put RPG stuff in here because we scared off all our RPG, you know, developers. So you, DMA, you pick up the slack, which is just stupid. But I looked at this game, I was a little more favorable with it than... I'm favorable with N64 and PS1 games anyways. Like, most people, when they go to pick up an N64 PS1 game, it'll be like, yeah, this game looks like shit. You know, that's the common thing. Like, this game looks like shit. You know, I know that going into this. So I really can't fault... At the time when this game came out, everyone like shit all over it for graphics. Like, the graphics were bland, uninspired, just empty, blank, you know, just really bad when it came out. Yeah. But to me, when I play a game like this, you know, all N64 games look bad. You know, that's the charm of playing an N64 game. If you don't like really blocky polygons, the system's not for you. So,
unless you go to Paper Mario.
Yeah. I mean, you put this game next to Ocarina of Time, and yes, Ocarina looks better, but they're still blocky. So I'm giving it a pass on graphics. I understand, like, yeah, every N64 game looks like you're driving over Vaseline, and every PlayStation game has wobbly, garbly, you know, textures that, you know, looks like you're tripping out as you're walking by them. Yeah. So I'm not even penalizing it for graphics, the thing that everyone slated it for back then. I'm hitting it for just fundamentals of being a game. Like, it doesn't work. You know, I agree with you there, man.
I don't know did you guys clip at all? Like, I was constantly clipping.
So I was reading about that, Nick. This game is notoriously bad for emulation. N64 emulation kind of sucks anyways, because you have to dink around with plugins and you got to make it match up, you know, what your computer can do. What do you want it to look like? It's a pain in the ass. But this one apparently has been a problem, like, since day one. You know, it's just
maybe something. That's why I'm so salty on this, then.
I tried emulating it.
I will give you a pass.
I wouldn't go that far. I tried emulating it.
I rescind my pass.
Yeah, I had, like, when people were shooting at you, when I emulated it, it was like the guy was shooting me from one point in the screen, but the shots were coming from another. It was real janky, but even then, like, it's just one more turd on the turd sandwich.
One more thing. Yeah, I didn't do a lightning round or any fun tangents for this one. We all kind of suffered through this, so.
You know, you text me, like, be ready to argue on this one, and we got on here, like, I think we all kind of agree on it, which is...
You know, we've all hated... I mean, Matt, you're the only one that actually liked your obscure pick.
It's a classic. It's a classic for all times.
Battle of Olympus, Crystal Warriors, and Body Harvest were not our finest hours. You know, but we tried. We tried. We went off the beaten path a little bit, and we're probably better for it in the long run.
I'm actually glad you picked it, though. And I'm glad you picked it because A, it's a weird game. B, the history is just nuts. Like, anyone listening to this, go out and read. There's an interview, and I can't remember the guy's name, but a guy kind of did a tell-all about this game, and I can't picture anyone making a game working under the conditions that they put them on this. Like, imagine you have this dream project where, you're shooting for the stars. Like, you're going to swing and you're going to swing big. And, someone comes in and tells you to, make the graphics look more material. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Right.
Like, someone comes in 2 years into your baby and tells you to insert a bunch of crap into it that doesn't fit. It's not what you want to do. You're told to suck it up and just do what they tell you to do. You do it anyways. It's just, I don't know. You swung big and everyone got in your way. Like, part of me is resentful to Nintendo for this. Like,
I kind of share that sentiment, man. DMA were the new up and comers, but they didn't really realize it yet, and they should have let them run a little freer.
They went on to make, it's funny because when you read most of the reviews now that were done in the present, about this game, looking back at it, everyone who says this game is this hidden gem and that's amazing can't talk about it without saying GTA 3. And I agree with that to some aspect. Like, yes, GTA 3 would not exist without them learning, the knowledge of this game, what they learned making it. But at the same time, I have to look at this game as its own thing, as it is, not what they got out of it. Like, if that's the case, then this is an amazing tech demo. This is the best tech demo that I've ever seen on the N64.
Because of their progression throughout gaming, people have rose-colored glasses, I think, for this a little bit.
Well, think about, like, you wanted something unique, and I guarantee, you looked at the scores on this, and they all said this game is a hell of a lot of fun. It's a hidden gem. Like, you'd be stupid not to pick this game. But, no one's out there. I've seen it's funny. There's one reviewer back when, and I don't know if they were, EGM gave it a good score. IGN gave it a good score. GamePro, not so much, actually. GamePro was kind of in the middle of the road, but there was this one company, I can't remember the name, gave it what would be the equivalent of like a D. I can't remember the name. And if you read the comments, like the first comment is some rando online calling the guy for making for coming up with a review. And it's like, well, I read the guy's review. I agree with everything he said in it. So
yeah. Yeah. I didn't dig deep enough. I dug to find a little bit, but not enough on this.
But why would you?
Right.
Every score that you find on this game is overwhelmingly positive. Every list you find online is this is a hidden gem. You're a dummy for not playing it. Why would you?
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if it's because more people have the preference for the 64 that we don't. Nick's the Genesis guy, we're Super Nintendo guys. Like, those are our consoles, and the 64 came after. So, I'll admit that, like, the single stick shit is frustrating to me.
I look at it, and I think everyone out there, it's funny because all the reviews prior to, with the exception of that GamePro and that other company that was kind of an outlier, everyone talked about the promise of like how great this, how amazing the things this game offers are. And it is like open world. This was new then. This probably blew everyone's mind. And then all the post reviews, from the modern era look back and they see it through GTA lenses. This is the game that gave us GTA 3. And it's this amazing rose colored, view of this game. We're looking at it in a bubble. And I think we're looking at it saying it doesn't work. We understand all those pros that people are coming up with, but in a vacuum, this game doesn't work. It's just not a workable game.
Yeah, it's too rough around the edges, man.
Very, very rough.
Our most upbeat review, I think, that we've done so far. I hope no one leaves this podcast like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go and just drink myself stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going off about 2 hours of sleep right now. So you guys are welcome that I'm here.
You didn't sleep. That's good.
No.
Yeah.
Teething kid.
You gotta get your power nap game on, Nick. Gotta get your lunch power car nap on.
I was presenting all day. I literally didn't stop until probably 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was presenting at 6:30 this morning, doing my job, doing my thing, making those sales. That way I can invest more into our future of podcasting.
You can a mic stand.
You get a mic stand.
A fucking mic stand.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
The thing is like, Nick, I'm not gonna lie. I was like colluding with John. I'm like, I think I can talk Nick into buying a pop filter. You know, something that wins. You gotta have a mic stand to have a pop filter.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh my god. Nick's got like 2 coffee filters and a fucking piss jug down there.
I'm surprised he's not like talking into a tin can with like a string tied to the computer.
Coming from the person who has a laptop that is older than me, probably, I'm sure.
This episode probably didn't record. It's probably been frozen for the past 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Fucking thing.
I hope you all enjoyed my my cat that just howled halfway through. Matt, you're gonna find that somewhere.
Didn't hear it.
No.
Oh, well,
I'll hear it later. That's the problem. I go to edit these, and it's like John's clicking like a madman on his mouse. Like
no.
The only person who clicks faster than you with a mouse, John, is like some porn addict on Pornhub going to like the next thing. Like I gotta keep just feverishly clicking.
It's where I got my twitchy fingers from, man.
and then like Nick, now I understand why I'm spending so much time on your audio. Like you're talking, you're holding the mic, talking into it like you're like a pop star.
I'm a fucking rock star.
Yeah,
like you're hosting a talk
Speaking
show.
of rock star. Speaking of rock star.
Ooh, segue.
Ah.
We this concludes our episode on Body Harvest. Sorry we didn't like it to all of you purists that might listen to this, but yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, whatever. Nick, what do we got coming up next?
Oh, we're going with a classic. Ladies and gents, get ready for some bananas and some fun. We're playing Donkey Kong Country.
Woo!
All right.
I'm excited for that.
We're going to be actually happy with the next episode.
Oh my god. What?
What, John?
We're not done. Go hit record. We're not done. We haven't plugged our social stuff.
Well, you know what? No, don't add him into this. We're going to just shit on John now.
Yeah, fuck John. So here's the thing.
Shut up.
Right?
I'm here.
No, fuck John. He stopped recording because he's John.
I said we're done on this episode.
No, we have social media, John.
Yeah,
we have
okay.
to plug that so they can tell you to keep recording.
Yeah.
Nick, why don't you plug our socials because John doesn't want to record anymore?
I mean, wait a minute. John, why the hell do you stop recording?
Because we're done, dude. You didn't do
cunt?
shit for the socials.
John, you're being a cunt.
You're being a cunt. You're holding your microphone with your... Oh, you see, now you said the C word, Nick.
So, I'm sure Matt is smart enough to add a beep in there.
Nope. I've edited none of that.
Yeah.
Like literally, I edit. So my editing consists of me going through them like, Nick, you dancing with a mic, that gets edited out. You dropping C-bombs, that stays in. So if we want to get canceled, we're doing a good job.
Oh, I guess I should plug our social media, shouldn't I, guys? Before I drop any more C's.
Yeah. Plug away, Nick. If people want to have a complaint,
on our Twitter and on our Instagram that I have not been keeping up with at all.
Slacker.
I ended up destroying my phone and had to rewipe and restart it up. You can follow us at spin-retro. All one word, spin-retro.
You'll see.
And again, that's Twitter and Instagram.
You'll see stuff from Nick and I, not John.
Yep. Mostly Matt ragging on me or John.
Yeah, Matt put a pretty good one there with one of our music picks.
Oh, actually, some gaming news for a hot take right now. Did you know the last Sega, so tired. The last Sega store just closed?
Oh, I saw that.
In Japan.
Very sad.
Wow. I'm surprised. There was still one
there.
there.
It was on a tweeter.
Nick's wearing black all day tomorrow. He's in mourning.
I'm putting my flag at half mast. That's the only thing. It'll be a half mast.
Yeah.
Heyo. Now you can stop recording.
That sounded like a limp dick joke.